Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss the topic that is SRS Software Requirement Specification from chapter number 3, that is the requirements analysis. Let us start with the topic that is SRS. Let's have a look at the definition of SRS, that is Software Requirement Specification. As we have discussed, the Software Requirements document, sometimes called the Software Requirement Specification or the SRS, is an official statement of what the system developers should implement. It should include both the user requirements for a system and detailed specification of the system software, or we can say the system's requirements. It is a requirement specification for a software system and shows a complete description of the behavior of system to be developed and may include a set of use cases that describe interactions the users will have with the software. So the hence SRS, that is the software requirement specification, is a description of a software system to be developed. It is modeled after business requirement specification, also as a stakeholder requirement specification. IEEE defines software requirement specification as a document that clearly and precisely describes each of the essential requirements functions, performance, design constraints, and quality attributes of the software and the external interfaces. Each requirement is defined in such a way that its achievement can be objectively verified by a prescribed method, for example, inspection, demonstration, analysis, or test. SRS should come up with the following features. So the first one, that is user requirements are expressed in natural language, or we can say in the simple language. Then the second one, that is technical requirements are expressed in structured language which is used inside the organization. Then the third one, that is the design description should be written in pseudocode. Fourth one, that is formal format of forms and GUI screen prints. Then the last one, that is the conditional and mathematical notations for DFDs, etc. So all these are the different features of SRS. Also in simple language, we can say it forms the basis for software development. Then SRS provides a reference for validation of the final software product. Also it is a medium or a media through the client and user needs are accurately specified and determined. SRS helps clients to understand their own needs and requirements. Then it establishes the basis for agreement between the client and the suppliers. So all these are the different features of SRS. The next feature, that is it forms the basis for software development. Also SRS provides a reference for validation of the final software product. It is a medium or a media through the client and used needs are accurately specified and determined. SRS helps clients to understand their own needs and requirements. It establishes the basis for agreement between the client and the supplier. So all these are the features of SRS. Let us see the concepts of SRS. In that, I'm going to discuss SRS outline. Requirements documents are essential when an outside contractor is developing the software system. The software requirement specification is a technical specification of requirements for the software product. The SRS records the outcome of the software requirements definition activity. SRS is also known as requirements document, as we have already discussed in previous slide. The main goal of software requirements definition is to completely and consistently specify the technical requirements for the software product in a concise and unambiguous manner using formal notations as appropriate. Then, depending on the size and the complexity of the software product, the SRS may consist of few pages and it is based on the system definition. The requirement specification will state the what of the software product without implying how. Software design is concerned with specifying how the product will provide the required features and goals. However, the simplified outline presented in the following points be used as a framework for the specification. So the first one, that is the introduction. Introduction states the goals and objective of the software, describing it in the content of computer-based system. Actually, it is nothing but the software scope. Then the second one, that is the information description. It provides a detailed description of the problems that the software must solve. Information content and the relationships, flow and structure are documented. Hardware, software and human interfaces are described for external system elements and internal software functions. Then the third one, that is functional description. A description of each function required to solve the problem is presented in functional description. A processing narrative is provided for each function. Design constraints means rules and regulations or protocols regarding design are stated and justified. Performance characteristics are stated and one or more diagrams are included to geographically represent the overall structure of the software and interplay among software functions and other system elements. Then the next one, that is behavior description. The behavior description section of the specification examines the operation of the software as a consequence of external events and internally generated control characteristics. Probably the most important and ironically the most often neglected section of a software requirement specification is validation criteria. How do we recognize a successful implementation? Also, what classes of tests must be conducted to validate function, performance and constituents? Then the fifth one, that is the validation criteria. Specification of validation criteria acts as an implicit review of all other requirements. It is essential that time and attention be given to this section. Then the sixth one, that is very important, bibliography. contains references to all documents that relate to the software. These include other software engineering documentation, technical references, vendor literature, and standards. Then the seventh one, that is appendix. The appendix contains information that supplements the specification. Tabular data, detailed description of algorithms, charts, graphs, and other materials are presented as appendices. Here are few of the requirement specification types, like functional requirement, performance, then interface, maintainability, reliability, safety, quality, operational, resources. All these are the different requirement specification types. Now, it's important to know the purposes served by SRS. Here are few of the characteristics of SRS. Software requirement specification should be accurate, complete, efficient, and of high quality so that it does not affect the entire project plan. An SRS is said to be of high quality when the developer and user easily understand the prepared document. So the characteristics of SRS are the first one, that is correct. SRS is correct when all user requirements are stated in the requirements document. The stated requirements should be according to the desired system. This implies that each requirement is examined to ensure that it means the SRS represents user requirements. Note that there is no specified tool or procedure to assure the correctness of SRS. Correctness ensures that all specified requirements are performed correctly. Then the second one, that is unambiguous. SRS is unambiguous when every stated requirement has only one interpretation. This implies that each requirement is uniquely interpreted. In case there is a term used with multiple meaning, the requirement document should specify the meaning in the SRS so that it is clear and easy to understand. Then the third one, that is complete. SRS is complete when the requirements clearly define what the software is required to do. This includes all the requirements related to performance, design, and functionality. Then the fourth one is the ranked for stability, or we can say importance. All requirements are not equally important, hence each requirement is identified to make differences among other requirements. For this, it is essential to clearly identify each requirement. Stability implies the probability of changes in the requirement in future. Then next one, that is modifiable. The requirement of the user can change, hence requirements document should be created in such a manner that those changes can be modified easily, consistently, maintaining the structure and style of the SRS. Then the next one is traceable. SRS is traceable when the source of each requirement is clear and facilitates the reference of each requirement in future. For this, forward tracing and backward tracing are used. Forward tracing implies that each requirement should be traceable to design and code elements. Backward tracing implies defining each requirement explicitly, referencing its source. Then the next one is verifiable. SRS is verifiable when The specified requirements can be verified with the cost effective process to check whether the final software meets those requirements. The requirements are verified with the help of reviews. Note that an ambiguity is essential for verifiability. It's very important for verifiability. Then the last one, that is the consistent. SRS document is consistent when the subset of individual requirements defined do not conflict with other document or other requirement subset. For example, there can be a case when different requirements can use different terms to refer to the same object. There can be logical or temporal conflicts between the specified requirements and some requirements whose logical or temporal characteristics are not satisfied. So, all these are the different characteristics of SRS. Now, I'm going to discuss few of the advantages of SRS. So, the first advantage, that is software SRS establishes the basis for agreement between the client and the supplier on what the software product will do. Then the second one, that is SRS provides a reference for validation of the final product. Then the third one, that is a high quality SRS is a prerequisite to high quality software. And last one, that is a high quality SRS reduces the development cost. Thank you.